derivative trading has been very popular around the world, especially among users who are more comfortable with higher risk because they are leveraging. They probably buy or sell on the margin, or they can also options trading, although we don't provide options trading to our users because we think it's relatively more complicated. But exchanges like Deribit have been very big on option trading, and probably have some of the audience have heard that Base have bought Deribit this year. And that's basically typical derivative trading platforms we're talking about. Then for Bitget, many of our users come to our platform because they want to buy and sell on leverage. They want to bet on, 10x, and not just like a 1x or 50% increase. So derivative trading has been very popular on some platforms such as Bybit and Bitget. And especially after FTX collapse, lots of FTX users were looking for another option to trade derivatives.
This episode of the Bitcoin Economy is brought to you in part by Ledn.
Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over 9 billion loans since 2018. And they were the first to offer proof of reserves.
With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit ledn.io for more information. Welcome back to the Bitcoin Economy. We are on day 2 here in Hong Kong for Bitcoin Asia. I'm joined by the CEO of Bitget, Gracy Chen. So Gracy, welcome to the program. And for those that are unfamiliar, we have a lot of US audience, of course, but Bitget is one of the largest exchanges. So give a quick introduction to what Bitget is, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. Nice meeting you all. So Bitget is a crypto centralized exchanges. If you look at CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko in terms of the exchange ranking, we are typically top 3 or 4 or at least 5 in terms of trading volume. So top exchange, sadly, we don't serve the US customers. We don't plan to either, but we have lots of users globally from Asia, from Europe, from Latin America. And we have been providing services to our users since 2018. So we're celebrating our 7th year anniversary, actually right like in this month, in September. Yeah.
Amazing. And we just interviewed Jesse Myers over at the Smarter Web from the UK. So the UK audience will start to listen here as well. But Vic, I was looking you guys up. You guys are one of the few exchanges that show proof of reserves, so very transparent. I think a lot of Bitcoiners really appreciate that, of course. You guys are huge on the derivative side as well. Could you just explain to some of the audience that may not be familiar with like what derivative trading is and why that's been a big impact?
Sure. Yeah. So for spot trading and derivative trading, the main difference is about the leverage. So if you are buying or selling in spot trading, basically you just buy and hold and sell cryptocurrency. For example, Bitcoin, you hope to buy low and sell high. Then for derivatives, of course, you can also sell at a higher price by borrowing. But then derivatives, typically we're talking about perpetuals, which is a quite good innovation, very specific to crypto, I think since like BMax and a couple of other exchanges who came up with this. And then derivative trading has been very popular around the world, especially among users who are more comfortable with higher risk because they are leveraging. They probably buy or sell on the margin, or they can also options trading, although we don't provide options trading to our users because we think it's relatively more complicated. But exchanges like Deribit have been very big on option trading, and probably have some of the audience have heard that Base have bought Deribit this year. And that's basically typical derivative trading platforms we're talking about. Then for Bitget, many of our users come to our platform because they want to buy and sell on leverage. They want to bet on, 10x, and not just like a 1x or 50% increase. So derivative trading has been very popular on some platforms such as Bybit and Bitget. And especially after FTX collapse, lots of FTX users were looking for another option to trade derivatives. And that's when we get lots of new users. If you look at what we did in 2022, some of the key things, even before FTX collapse, was to be very transparent and to establish more protection. So for Bitget, we had 2 things coming out in 2022. One is what I call protection fund. So we have the second largest industry's centralized exchanges protection fund. The biggest one is Binance Full, but ours is the second largest, which has more than 600 million today. Before FTX collapse, we had that already because we realized In 2022, after Luna collapsed and 3AC went down, lots of smaller exchanges are also losing trust. That's also the year I joined Bitget. I wasn't the CEO of Bitget at day one. I joined Bitget as managing director, look after anything external, partners and marketing, and also some parts of the strategies. And when we look at those exchanges who went down, we think having a protection fund is helpful, not just as a protection when anything bad happened to our users, they can go to us and claim, especially the bad thing happened because of a hack, because of insecure and unstable system, things like that. Like things are not really fault of our users, but the fault of a platform. But also having those open wallets holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, USD, and because we put it in open wallet, users can check on that every day. Even now you go to bitget.com/protection fund, you will be able to find that page and take a look on the open wallets yourself and know that we had this amount of cryptocurrency in our wallets set up as a protection fund. So we build trust by that as well. So protection fund is one thing. And then you brought out reserve. That's what we did since December 2022. Until now, we publish our proof reserve and transparent report on a monthly basis. We want to be very transparent and very communicative about how much we hold as a platform, how much we hold for our users, and what's trading activities like for our platform. So staying transparent, being very protective of our users, I think those are very key things, especially after the FTX collapse, when people needed more trust when they think about using which exchange.
Yeah. And obviously, artificial intelligence has been right up there with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in terms of getting the news coverage. You guys have an AI agent of your own now. So I'd love to talk about, I think it's called GetAgent, if I'm correct. So I would love for you to explain to our audience what that is and how users can take advantage.
Yeah, sure. So GetAgent is something we started to build since the end of last year, and we recently opened that to all of our users. For the past 2-3 months, it's like in beta version, but now it's open up. It's basically a crypto version of ChatGPT or DeepSeek, where users can go to this platform, ask GetAgent anything crypto. What's your take on Bitcoin's price today? Why it went down today? What's your understanding of this newly listed altcoin called ABC? Things like that. And give me some price prediction, give me some reasoning behind it. So try that out. Because we're building lots of large language models like DeepSeek or OpenAI or Cloud, etc. So it has the underlying ability from many LLMs, but also the data set are very up to date. So if you ask them an exchange token listed this morning, just like 30 minutes ago, he is able to understand that. Unlike ChatGPT or many other LLMs model, their data set is only maybe a year ago or even 3 months ago, whatever. But ours is very updated and also very crypto specific, and it just knows crypto much better than any other LLMs. So we are providing that to our users. Many influencers, especially our previous beta users, who came to me and said they'll just do according to what GetAgent suggests them to buy and sell, and they made a good amount of money. We think it's very much like a trend because AI is just revolutionizing everything by note taking, how we host conference, how we have a meeting, even how we meet a partner, right? But we think AI will revolutionize crypto as well. So GetAgent is our first step to showcase our ability and our product understanding of AI.
What if you could lower your tax bill and stack Bitcoin at the same time? Well, now you can with Blockware. New tax guidelines from the Big Beautiful Bill will allow American miners to write off 100% of the cost of their mining hardware for a single tax year. That's right, 100%. Blockware's mining as a service allows you to do everything from securing the miners to sourcing low cost power to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. You get to stack Bitcoin at a discount every single day while also saving for the upcoming tax season. Get started today by going to mining.blockwaresolutions.com/TBE. Again, that's mining.blockwaresolutions.com/TBE. Now back to the interview. And everyone says this is not financial advice every time they get on stage. So is there any fear of like a hallucination, I guess, with this AI that they potentially could give them bad advice?
I would say, depending on how do you define bad, right? I wouldn't think people should just follow AI blindly or follow GetAgent blindly. You still need to have your personal opinion, and you need to make decision for yourself. If you are losing money, AI is not going to cover that for you, nor is Bitget protection fund, because that's not our system or hacking kind of issue that our protection fund covers. So people need to be very responsible for themselves. But I think using AI as a reference point is very key. But whether it can have problem in terms of hallucination and your short memory, those are typical issues that AI faces. I think GetAgent is okay in terms of the memory, because we also inputting all the data and update those data very frequently, and users get the most updated information. But whether it will come up with bad decisions or bad advice, I think it could happen. So highly suggest our users to have their own opinion, DYOR, and be responsible for your own cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, of course. And that's fair. I mean, financial advisors can give bad advice too as humans. So this is like an on-demand financial advisor to somewhat, but always do your own research, always, before you do a trade. I guess the last question too is we're starting to see, how do we onboard new users, right? And so I think from what I've seen in the US, these treasury companies take, for example, someone that's in the stock market, they get interested and see this treasury company that they can go buy with their IRA or 401k, right? And so they're starting to see a lot of these new users coming from Wall Street into the space, right? Which is very exciting. So do you guys have plans to kind of expand outside of crypto, for instance? Or, I think you guys mentioned you're building something that will be inclusive of a lot of different products.
Yeah, so I did tell you earlier that we are building tokenized everything. So this concept of tokenize everything is a key strategy we have for the second half of 2025 for our company. We're not just providing cryptocurrencies to our users, but also tokenized forex, tokenized stocks, etc. So there are more exciting plans coming out in the upcoming 2-3 weeks in terms of new partners, in terms of our capability to provide more products, in terms of even like brand wise, we want to rebrand our exchange to a new concept. But I want to hold that until 2-3 weeks later and share more information to our community. But for the moment, I do want to point out that it is very trendy that exchanges, at least we think, is going to be an important trend that we want to provide not just cryptocurrency, but also tokenized everything. Because like you point out, like lots of new mass adoption and volume and new users in this kind of cycle, or especially 2024, 2025, are coming from TradFi, are coming from more Web2 world and 401k and ETFs, etc. And that's not just unique to the US, it's also happening around the world. Like here we're in Hong Kong, ETFs have been approved for spot coin and spot Ethereum. And there are, lots of companies thinking and working about stablecoin, even offshore USDT or Chinese yuan or Hong Kong D. Some may have more license, some may not, but those are also very trendy. So this is gonna be more and more popular, in my humble opinion. AI is going to be very popular as well. So we want to build products not just for our users today, but for our users in the future.
Love that. It's been phenomenal having you here and just seeing the energy. We talked about 5,000 people, I think, were here last year. The numbers I heard were like 20,000 people. So it's growing. We're seeing this community expand. Everyone's telling 4 of their friends basically to start to come on board. Anything that we didn't touch on that you'd love to share with our audience, about Bitget, about kind of the Asian markets in general and how they're coming on board and getting very excited about crypto and Bitcoin specifically?
Sure. Since you brought out Asian market, I was just looking at a few data the other day in terms of the family offices in Asia, especially in Singapore, Hong Kong, and maybe in UAE, in Middle East. Basically, this is a 10 trillion family office market, and if we think about all of them just putting 5% of their assets under management, which is 500 billion already, and that's like what, less than a quarter of the whole Bitcoin market cap. So if they all put those money in Bitcoin, that means Bitcoin can increase like 20% in terms of price. So I think it's a huge opportunity there. And also about 5-6 years ago, when we asked the family offices here in Hong Kong in terms of what's their thought about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, did they have any allocation? It was only 10 plus sort of like digit percentage wise in 2019, 2020. Now it's like more than 37% of the family offices here have allocated their asset in crypto, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum already. So if you are running a family office in Asia, or if you're just an individual in Asia and then globally, I would highly suggest you take like 5% of your personal allocation at least into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies, because that will do you good in the upcoming few years. I think we are at the very early stage in terms of the liquidity easing in the US, and historically Bitcoin price have been very correlated to M2 supply, the money supply in the world, and M2 supply has been growing pretty big. And we are all watching the Fed and when does the US start the interest rate cut, like carefully, because that will hugely impact liquidity, will hugely impact M2 supply, will also hugely impact all the cryptocurrencies price.
Yeah.
So I personally hold a lot of Bitcoin, obviously, but also highly suggest my friends and family to at least allocate a little percentage of your personal wealth into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. No. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Gracie. This has been a pleasure. We'll have to bring you back in a month or two when you launch your new products. Gave you guys a sneak peek here today, but thanks so much, and I'll talk soon.